Welcome to the second AVA equipment video review. Today we are going to review the Braun Infusomat fmS. This is one of the most famous Braun volumetric pumps. So let's start with the infusion line. With this pump we must use a dedicated infusion set. The most important parts of the infusion line are the drip chamber with a ring where we can position the drip detect sensor, a roller clamp, and here at this level we can see these two white pieces of plastic that are useful to position the line inside the pump. It's quite easy to position the line inside the pump, and it can be positioned in a wrong way. So we close it and the pump is ready to start. It's very quick to turn on. Prior to start the infusion, we have to position the drip detect sensor unless we deactivated it. The drip detect sensor has an optical sensor that checks that the fluid is dripping correctly into the chamber. This is the standby screen of the pump where we can set directly a rate of infusion and let it start, or we can select one of the other options. The most classic ones have a quick soft key access, and they are the target volume, where in example we can decide to infuse 500 ml and we can start the infusion. Or we can set a duration of infusion where we can decide for how many hours and minutes we want the pump to infuse fluids. Another useful menu is the fmS menu. Here, the options that are in this menu may differ from other pump models. Not all the models have the same options in this menu. Here an example, we have a dose calculation function. This is very useful in an intensive therapy setting. We can set the concentration in a wide range of units. Here in example in milligram per ml, but we can change it to micrograms, international units, or millimoles. In this case, we can set how many micrograms per ml of a certain drug are in our solution. We can then set the weight of the patient, and then we can set the unit per kg per minute or per hour that we want to use. Then we can set the dose to infuse, and we can start the infusion. If we want to deactivate this function, we can just press this off button and the pump come back to the ml per hour screen. Another function that can be useful is the bolus function. This function normally appears while the pump is infusing, but we can just decide to give a bolus when the infusion is not going on. We can simply set the volume and the rate up to a maximum of 999 ml per hour. Another function that we can use is the infusion pose, where we can set the duration of the infusion pose. This may be useful in some clinical settings where we're going to disconnect the patient for a certain procedure and we don't want to completely turn off the pump, and at the same time we don't want to be bothered by the alarms during this procedure. Pressing another time the FS button, we can set up the maximum infusion pressure. If the pressure exceeds the pressure that we set up, we are going to hear an alarm. Pressing another time the FS button, we can deactivate the drip detect sensor. Other than the drip detect sensor, the pump has also other controls, like if there is hair in the line, if there is an occlusion, or if there is an increase in infusion pressure. The activation of the drip detect sensor can be useful in example if, due to fluid's temperature, there is moist on the walls of the drip chamber. Or, in example, if accidentally the drip chamber is full of fluid, and so the drip detect sensor cannot recognize if the fluid is dripping correctly into the chamber. And so the pump will give an alarm. Another situation can be if we want to quickly change the bag and without stopping the infusion, and so this can be useful in this case. Here we can set up also the date and time, and that's the last option that we can use, pressing the FS button. So in the end, the pump is quite easy to use, it's very robust, it's very well built. Maybe the alarm level is a little bit too high, but it can be lowered but just by a service specialist using a specific software. The last thing that we can talk about is the bolus function while we are infusing. So we start the infusion, we select the bolus function, and we can, now it gives an occlusion alarm because we forgot to open the roller clamp. So we can open it and we can silence the alarm. So selecting bolus, the pump asks for the volume, in example 30 ml, and basically just pressing yes. In this case, we can basically the pump start immediately to infuse the bolus. If we want to stop, we can just press stop, or we can wait till the pump finish to infuse the bolus, and automatically the pump will return to the previous infusion rate. So another interesting thing of this pump is on its back, and basically the clamp of this pump is very interesting. It's very well built, and it has an hook on top that can be useful to remove the pump without unscrewing completely the clamp from the infusion pole. So that's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel, and thank you for watching.